Hi everyone, it's about 10 minutes before 9 o'clock right now on this Friday, March 15th, 2013. I'm Stephen Boyle, student forecaster for Northeast Weather Center. Well, in this particular video, we will be basically exploring what's going on as far as a major storm next week, early next week. That is basically what the general uh, talk of this video will be. However, we will also be briefly looking at the possible trends over the next couple of weeks, but basically we're going to look at what's going to be happening between Monday and Wednesday of next week. Now, what's currently going on is really not a lot. We do have a clipper system that's starting to enter into portions of Ohio and southeastern Michigan. But other than that, there's not a lot going on. I mean, there are some snow squalls out there. I mean, there's snow squalls going on out into portions of Massachusetts and Vermont and New York and areas like this. But I mean, it's so scattered. But if you are caught in one of these squalls, you could see a quick coating or an inch. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't anticipate like something significant. But if you are caught in it, it will seem significant. And the same goes with this particular system. It's moving fairly quickly. It's moving actually very fast. This thing will be offshore by tomorrow at this particular time. It's going very fast. It's just whipping on by. Just about an hour ago, there was some snows back out in here, into Chicago. It is moving at a very fast clip. So don't expect a lot with this. And for the most part, if you are anticipating a major amount of snow with it, don't be. And usually clipper systems only drop 1 to 3 inches anyway. You may get some localized areas picking up a little bit more, but New England isn't going to be getting anything, really. So that's what it's looking like right now. Looking at the NAM, there is a clipper, okay, and yeah, you can see that the NAM suggests, hey, this could be going or given portions of New England quoting, but I don't even think that's going to happen. Sunday morning when we're waking up, it shouldn't be too bad. Now, here comes our storm. All right, now, most meteorologists, when they look at this, they're saying, this is rain for the Northeast. This is not going to be rain, okay, and I can explain why, all right, but this is not going to be rain. I can guarantee you, okay? There is going to be a secondary that forms, okay? This secondary low-pressure system will be the driving force for the Northeast and New England. What is going to happen is this low pressure that's up here is going to transfer its energy down to this low right in here. And that is going to do something that's quite interesting. All right, now, also, as this system is entering into the Northeast, there is also a flow coming in from the north. All right, this is very important, all right, because basically, there's going to be cold air drainage in areas to the north and west, especially in the northwest quadrant of this particular storm. All right, there will be more cold air, less warm air to work with. Okay, there will be more cold air to work with. Less mixing, therefore more snow accumulation. Areas along the coast will see less snow, therefore they'll be having more warm air to deal with. More mixing, less snow accumulation. All right. But for the most part, the areas I just circled are where really I'm anticipating the most snowfall. Okay. It'll probably extend also out like this. Okay. And also out like this. Okay, so basically covering basically all of Maine, all of New Hampshire, all of Vermont, basically all of New York, a good chunk of Pennsylvania, and all of northern Connecticut through interior Massachusetts. Okay, so that is really the situation. Okay, that is really, in essence, the situation. Now, that's what I'm thinking at this particular point. All right, now, why is that? Well, this is the reason why. You see, you have a low up here, and you have also a low down here. Okay, now, if you're looking at just the thickness, which is these colored lines, these blue and red lines, which is basically the average between the amount of precip at a specific level in the atmosphere and the temperature in a specific level of the atmosphere. And basically it's sort of averaged out, and you eventually get 540, 546, 552, 534, 528. Okay? That's what a thickness is. Now, what does that mean? Well, normally what that means is when you get this 540 line is usually, not all the time, but sometimes the dividing line between rain and snow. But in this particular case, that is not the case. Not. All right. What's going on here is, notice the time period when this is going on. 1 a.m. in the morning. That's the first thing. Second thing, we have quite darn heavy precip coming down. Okay, at least a ½ inch an hour. All right. Not only that, but okay, these folks in this particular system are in the These folks in here are pretty much in the northwestern quadrant of the storm. Now, you're looking at this and you're saying, Stephen, well, the storm is located all the way up here. But no, this low pressure up here is weakening as we speak at this particular time. This low pressure down here is strengthening. So therefore, this is becoming less of a driving force, and this is becoming more of a driving force. Therefore, we're now talking about a situation where this thing is going to probably travel in this particular direction, being more a little bit like a 540 or excuse me, a 40-70 benchmark storm, or riding something just outside of the benchmark. Therefore, people who live in interior sections are going to be really getting a good amount of snow. All right. Now, we also have this big band of precip. Okay, this is going to expand, and this is going to eventually travel north into New England. This is going to affect people during the morning and also during the afternoon. All right. Now, with that being said, the people who get into this band, which I believe will be more intense, this will be a longer band, and basically there could even be some thunder, because there's going to be a little bit of a boundary that's going to form, and there will be a little bit of fighting against this warm and cold air, because you're going to have a little bit of warm air advection. You're going to have some cold air coming down from Canada as well. There could be a little bit of convection going on, especially where this band sets up. There will also be a little bit more wind in that band. So, people who do get into the band could get some very intense snow, a little bit of thunder, things like that, okay? And yes, some people, that will come down in the form of snow, okay? Especially these folks, okay? Where I do anticipate the heaviest of the snows, okay? Now, before I start boring people, let's talk a little about the Canadian, okay? Because I do want to kind of explain a lot about the Euro. This is the Canadian, this is the outlier. Basically, it's the only model suggesting a storm, the low pressure center, to move basically right through Massachusetts. Has the low pressure right here. What it's basically doing is it's having this low strengthening as this thing moves northward. And although this is strengthening, this is still acting as a driving force. No. This is going to become more of the driving force. This is going to weaken. This is, and also there's a block up there. This is going to allow the storm to travel a little bit more like this, not like this. Okay, that's not going to happen. This track is wrong. So basically, we can throw the Canadian out the door and leave it like that. Okay, GFS. Now, the GFS at one point was the warmest model there was out there for this particular storm. It is now not the warmest model. It is now trending colder. This is at 7 p.m. on Monday. And you can see snow is starting to enter the picture into interior sections of New England. Alright, there is some snow coming down at a pretty darn fast clip into portions of the Poconos and northern New Jersey. We may be dealing with some mixing issues, particularly in the New York City area. Also portions of New Jersey as well. But we're snowing at a very good clip or at a light clip right now. And again, this is 7 p.m. in the evening. So basically, what does that mean? Well, temperatures are starting to drop. We're also getting a flow coming in from the north as well. This is creating cold air drainage into your mountains and particularly into your interior portions. All right. However, your coastal plain, not so much. Okay, not so much on your coastal plains. All right, here we go. Here comes the storm. This is at 1 a.m. in the morning. And notice, we have some very heavy precip coming down. This is going to be very intense, very interesting into portions of Massachusetts. All right, now we do have this big old band that's setting up in here. And do I think that this band is going to go just like this, like the GFS is suggesting? Absolutely not. That's a bunch of, you know what. It's going to travel in this particular direction because the storm is traveling in this direction. So basically, it's going to go through Massachusetts. All right, it's going to go through Maine. It's going to go through New Hampshire. Okay, that's all there is to it. That is the way how this particular band is going to move if the GFS were to verify. And watch what the GFS does with this particular band. It actually makes it move more eastward, not through Massachusetts, which I totally disagree with. I do anticipate that this band would move more in a north-northeasterly direction instead of more of an east-northeasterly direction, because the storm will move like this. Therefore, it will follow in this particular direction. So yes, this band will affect a lot of the region. However, these folks would be all rain. This would be a very soaking rain for these guys. All right. However, for these people back out in here, this would be all snow. Okay. Now, where do I anticipate the mix-in line to be? I anticipate the mix-in line to be somewhere around the I-95 corridor with this particular event. Okay. And then there goes the storm. Now, I just want to look at the GFS, and the GFS does something very interesting. It just has this storm that all of a sudden blows up and has this low and does some pretty interesting stuff. It does show some pretty interesting snows, but it shows that we're going to have some warm air starting to impede by around the 31st, but we'll take it as it comes. One storm at a time, shall we? Let's look at the Euro. All right. This is my favorite model. Let me tell you. The Euro is by far the best model. Okay, so here we go. We have a low that's starting to form down near the Delmarva Peninsula. We have light snow starting to enter into New England. It is mixing right now in New York City. It is snowing at a fairly good clip in the Poconos. And although you're looking at West Virginia and you're saying it's snowing or it's raining there, it's actually snowing in the mountains. Lower elevations are raining. So here we go. Okay, this is very interesting. We have a low pressure right here. Now the new Euro brings this in a little bit farther inland. I would say that this is going to probably move in somewhat of this direction. So I do anticipate a little bit more of a colder solution, but it's the difference of only a couple. Really, it's only the difference of what? How many miles would that be? How many miles is that? Maybe 20, 30. It's not a big difference, but it could make a little bit of a difference for some people, but not really. We do anticipate 3 to 6 inches for the Boston area, but we'll talk a little bit more about accumulations in just a second. But this is at 7 a.m. in the morning on Tuesday. We have good snows coming down for basically everybody in... Whoops, I meant to do that. I really didn't. But we have snows coming down at a fairly good clip in interior New England. Now remember, okay, we basically have we have cold air that was draining in during the early morning hours. So basically, even though that these thicknesses are not supportive of snow, don't worry. We would be getting plenty of snow. Okay, and this is again at 7 a.m. in the morning, and this suggests snow coming down at least at a ½ inch an hour. All right, which is pretty good. All right, now here comes the good snows. This is the nice stuff. All right, now again, I anticipate this a little bit further to the east. Okay, I anticipate the low somewhere in here instead of in here. But how many miles is that? Again, it's probably only 20, 50, maybe at most 60 miles. It's not that significant, but it could make the difference a little bit for people who live into the Boston area. It could make a little bit of a difference for Providence and for portions of Connecticut. But I don't think it will make much of a difference for people who live in interior sections. It's going to be snowing like a sieve in through interior Massachusetts, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, southern Maine. And yeah, it's going to be snowing very nicely. Snow could be coming down at least at 1 inch an hour, if not a couple inches in an hour. I wouldn't even be surprised if this low is any stronger than what it's being shown right here, that some of these lighter blues expand further out, and eventually all of that moves northeastward, and we could be seeing areas picking up 2.5, 3 inches an hour. So there will be very heavy snow with this. And notice the timing. Now, normally people would say, the solar radiation in March is not good at all, doesn't support snow during the afternoon. Well, no. When you have snow coming down at 1 to 2 inches an hour, there could be some areas that could be seeing 3 inches an hour. It doesn't matter, the solar, however the sun angle, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter, all right? You're having snow coming down at 1 inch to 2 inches, if not 3 inches an hour, all right? It's going to stick. It doesn't matter. And not only that, but look at what's going on before then. There's snow coming down at 7 in the morning. There's snow coming down early in the morning. That's already a blanket of snow. So we already have a blanket of snow. So by the time this heavy snow comes in the afternoon, it's ripe. All right, it's ripe for people into the interior sections. Whoops-a-daisy. All right, now, here come that low starts moving a little bit more to the north. All right, We have very light snow going on into southern New England now. Boston may change over back to some snows. Um, Very heavy snow going on right now along the Maine coast. All right, so this is 7 p.m. on Tuesday. This storm system is starting to lift out now, and now is affecting our friends. Whoops, again. This is affecting now people in Maine. So that continues to work its way northward. All right. So now, basically, what's going on after the storm? Well, nothing really major. Just a very major trough in the east. If you were to see the general, picture of the whole country, major trough in the east. Major trough. So that's what's going on. All right. So also, I want to show you guys what the new Euro ensembles are indicating. We're going to start at hour 102. Here is the low pressure system right here. It's a little bit further to the east than what the regular Euro operational is showing. And again, this is moving in a northeasterly direction. This shows very heavy precip across a good chunk of the northeast in New England. However, it does show warmer air in here, and it does show colder air back out in here. So basically, folks who are living away from the I-95 corridor are going to be in very good shape with this particular storm. So here are my thoughts on this mid-March snowstorm. So we start off with the green areas. These folks in here are going to see all rain. No doubt about it. All right. We also have rain in here. Okay. This is sort of where when this low kind of cuts up like this is where we start getting that secondary forming. All right. So we're kind of getting a little bit of rain down into these regions. Now, areas in pink in this pink region in here, and then you got this pink region in here. All right. These folks will see probably a slushy 1 to 3 inches of snow to a rain or mix. It's not going to be anything that major. These folks are not going to see anything major. This is going to be very minor. Nothing really. Light blue. This light blue region, about 3 to 6 inches. Okay. And this goes through southern Connecticut and into the Boston area until you transfer over to a mixer rain. This will not be anything, again, it would be a moderate event for people into West Virginia, northeastern Ohio. We're talking about areas generally along I-80 in Pennsylvania, away from the coast of Connecticut, Providence, Boston, okay? And then you start going away from the I-95 corridor, and you start talking about 6 to 15 inches of snow. This also cuts in through northwestern Jersey. We're talking about a good chunk of central PA, the mountains of West Virginia. We're also talking about western New York. All right. We're also talking about these folks down in here as well. This is going to be from the system that the original system. They could get a good 6 to 12, maybe close 6 to 12 inches of snow. All right. So that's what's going on as far as that goes. And then you start talking about this red area. This is when we start getting into the good stuff. Okay. Notice how a good chunk of New England is in 9 to up to 18 inches of snow. Now, you're asking me, why is there such a big gap? Because some areas, I think a lot of areas where I have this red shading will see 12 inches of snow. But I think at the very least, 9 inches. And I think there will be some areas, especially closer to this orange area, where they will see 18 inches. So that's the reason why there's such a major gap. Okay. But for the most part, I think a lot of people in this red area, this reddish pinkish area, will see a foot of snow. All right. And like I said, Some models are even suggesting higher than that. I was looking at the JMA, and it's just going all out with this storm. Then you have this orange area. This orange area is at least 12 inches with up to 24 inches of snow. I am very confident that these areas that I shaded in orange are going to get 18 inches. Very confident. These folks in here are going to get pummeled, okay? But even folks in the red, don't think that you're going to be left out, because you're going to get a good storm, okay? I would say if you live in the red and orange areas, you're in for a good dosing of snow. Even in the purple area, you're going to get a good at least 6 inches. And for some people, 6 inches is extremely major. So yeah. But again, the areas affected the most will be into the reddish, pinkish shading and the orange areas. That is, again, where snowfall rate, this will be an all snowstorm for people in the red and orange areas. People in the purple area that will see 6 to around 50, with at most 15 inches of snow, those folks will be possibly seeing a period of mixing or rain. And again, mixing 3 to 6 inches of snow, transitioning over to a mixer rain into the Boston area, central Rhode Island, down through southern Connecticut, down through extreme portions of northwest Jersey, areas along the I-80 corridor, down through mountains of West Virginia, down through portions of, again, West Virginia, southern West Virginia, portions of Kentucky, western Pennsylvania, or northeastern Ohio. These folks will be transitioning over to a mixer rain, and just a very, very sloppy situation as far as snow goes into the pink areas, into these light pink areas. It's not going to be good. It'll be very slushy, 1 to 3 inches. It will probably be mostly on the grassy surfaces. So, New York, you may see 1 inch or 3 inch, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches, but it'll be mainly on the grass, and especially in New York City itself, nothing really. You'll be able to go along with your day as if nothing happened. In Boston, it'll probably be a little bit more difficult, and in Hartford, it'll be tough. It'll be tough in Hartford, and if you're in Worcester, yeah, it's going to be terrible. Springfield, if you live in Springfield, Mass, terrible. Albany, New York, terrible. Scranton, Pennsylvania is going to be terrible. Concord, New Hampshire is absolutely going to be, especially during the evening commute, is going to be horrid. It's going to be absolutely horrid in Concord, New Hampshire. Again, they're going to see major amounts of snow. So this is going to be a serious snowstorm. But again, interior cities are going to see more. Worcester, Springfield, Hartford, Concord, New Hampshire, areas like that will see more snow. Scranton, Pennsylvania. But again, that's what's going on. I do have a call right now, but I hope you all have a great rest of your Friday, and I'll be back tomorrow with another update. Take care, everyone.